Many people today, especially many women, are unknowingly living lives that please the devil rather than God. In simple terms, the choices we make in our daily lives, even things like the way we dress, style our hair, or use makeup, can have deeper meanings than we might think. Although some believe that once they are saved by God, they have the freedom to do anything, this idea can be very dangerous. Even small choices, when taken over time, may lead us away from God's will and, in the worst cases, toward eternal suffering. Some women follow trends without understanding that these fashions might encourage pride, vanity, and lust. These styles are often not just about personal taste, but can become symbols that honor the wrong things. When a person chooses to dress in a way that is focused only on looking good or gaining attention, it may mean that they are placing worldly desires above God's teachings. This is not just about losing one's freedom. It is about making choices that have a deep, spiritual impact. My name is Agnes and I am an old woman. I have lived a long life, and I want to share with you the story of one night that changed me forever. For many years, I cared deeply about my appearance. I spent much of my life trying to look young and beautiful. I used makeup every day, styled my hair carefully, and wore the latest fashions. I believed that my outer beauty would bring me happiness and respect. But one night, I learned a hard lesson about the cost of vanity. It all began on a quiet evening. I was at home, sitting in my favorite armchair by the window, watching television. Even at my age, I still enjoyed watching shows about fashion and beauty. That night, a commercial caught my eye. It showed a group of women smiling and laughing, all dressed in bright, stylish clothes with perfect hair and flawless makeup. I felt a familiar tug in my heart, a desire to be just like them. I remembered the days when I was young and full of energy, and I longed to regain that beauty. The next day, I decided to visit a salon that promised to give me a fresh, youthful look. I wanted to have my hair done in a way that would make me look vibrant and alive, just like in the commercial. I spent my savings on a treatment, hoping that a new hairstyle and a touch of makeup would help me feel beautiful again. The stylist worked carefully, and for a little while I felt a spark of hope. I believed that with a change in my appearance, I could once again feel the joy of being admired. However, as I left the salon that day, a strange, sharp pain began to spread in my head. I tried to ignore it, thinking it might be the stress of the appointment or the effects of the new chemicals used on my hair, but the pain did not fade. That night, as I lay in bed, the pain grew worse. My head felt heavy and my eyes became blurry. I drifted off into a deep sleep that was not like any sleep I had ever had before. In my sleep, I found myself in a place that was not my own room. I was standing in a dark, eerie space where the air was thick and hot, and a foul smell filled my nostrils. I looked down and saw the ground glowing with bright red flames, as if the very earth were burning. Fear gripped my heart. I did not know where I was or how I had come to be in this strange place. I began to walk slowly, trying to understand what was happening. Soon, I heard the sound of anguished cries and desperate screams. The cries came from all around me, echoing in the darkness. As I moved forward, I saw groups of people suffering. Their faces were twisted in agony, and the pain in their eyes was clear even in the dim light. I felt a deep sorrow and fear that I had never known before. Then I noticed something very disturbing. Many of the people in this terrible place were women. They were the ones who, in life, had spent their days caring too much about their looks. I saw women whose faces, once made up with heavy, stylish cosmetics, now had their makeup melting away like wax under the heat. I saw women with long, artificial hair that was scorched by the flames. No matter how much the fire burned, their hair grew back, trapping them in an endless cycle of pain. I even saw women with tattoos. The ink on their skin burned as if it were alive, crawling over their bodies and causing unending suffering. In that dark place, I realized that these tormented souls were paying a heavy price for a life spent chasing superficial beauty. Their choices, made in the name of vanity, had led them to this eternal torment. A deep sadness filled me as I saw the faces of these women, knowing that many of them had once been so full of life and beauty, but now their beauty had become their curse. As I stood there, overwhelmed by sorrow and fear, a brilliant light suddenly pierced the darkness. The light grew stronger and pushed back the choking smoke and fierce heat. Out of the light emerged an angel with enormous pure white wings. Although I could not see his face clearly, I could feel the warmth and kindness radiating from him. His presence brought a sense of calm, even in this dreadful place. The angel spoke to me in a gentle yet firm voice. "Agnes," he said, "you have been given this vision to warn you and others about the dangers of vanity. For too long, many have believed that outer beauty is the most important thing in life. But every choice you make, even something as simple as how you dress or style your hair, reflects what is in your heart. The love for superficial beauty has led many souls, especially many women, into a fate of eternal suffering." His words were clear. The angel explained that although God offers salvation to everyone, it does not mean that we can ignore the consequences of our choices. True beauty, he said, comes from a humble and sincere heart that loves God. When you let pride and vanity control your life, you turn away from the path of righteousness. Many women, because they have placed too much importance on their appearance, have suffered more than men in this vision of torment. I listened with a heavy heart as the angel continued. "Agnes, understand that your life is not defined by the trends of this world. The things you wear, the way you style your hair, and the adornments you choose are not just matters of fashion. They are symbols of what you value. If you let the world's praise of beauty guide you, you may lose sight of what truly matters, your soul and your relationship with God." The angel's words struck me deeply. I had spent so many years chasing a fleeting idea of beauty, believing that it was the key to happiness. But now I saw the terrible cost of that pursuit. I felt regret for all the times I had placed my worth in the mirror and in the eyes of others, rather than in the love and truth of God. Then, as quickly as the angel had appeared, his light began to fade. I felt a gentle force pulling me away from that dark, fiery place. In an instant, I found myself back in my own bed. The room was quiet and still, but my heart was pounding, and my mind was full of the painful images and messages I had just witnessed. In the days that followed, I spent many long hours in prayer and reflection. I remembered the angel's words and the suffering souls I had seen. I realized that the true beauty I had been searching for was not in the mirror or in the trends of fashion. True beauty, I now understood, comes from within, a beauty that is born of humility, love, and faith in God. I decided to change my ways. I stopped spending so much time and money on my appearance. I began to dress more simply and modestly, focusing instead on nurturing my spirit and strengthening my relationship with God. I shared my experience with friends and family, hoping that my story would serve as a warning to others. I wanted everyone to know that the choices we make, even the smallest ones, can have eternal consequences. Now, as an old woman looking back on my life, I have come to understand that vanity is a trap. It is a snare that distracts us from what is truly important. The love of outer beauty can make us forget the beauty of a gentle, kind heart. The pursuit of trends and the need to be admired can lead us away from the true path of righteousness and into a dark place where the price is far too high. I share my story with you not to scare you, but to offer a chance for hope and redemption. It is never too late to change. No matter how many years you have lived, or how deeply you have been caught in the ways of the world, you can still choose a different path. Choose to focus on what is eternal. Let your actions and your heart reflect the love of God, rather than the fleeting praise of the world. Remember that every choice you make matters. Do not let the desire for beauty and admiration lead you away from the truth. True freedom and happiness come from living a life that honors God. Let go of the need to be perfect in the eyes of others, and embrace the beauty that comes from a humble, faithful spirit. Thank you for listening to my story. I pray that you will take this message to heart and choose wisely in all that you do. May you always find strength in God's love, and may your life be a shining example of true, lasting beauty. In that serene garden, I felt a transformation stirring within me. I realized that my life, once marked by sorrow and self-destruction, was now being given a new beginning through God's unfailing grace. Jesus continued, "Your journey has not been without pain, but each step has led you closer to redemption. Every moment of despair was a step toward finding your true self." When I finally opened my eyes, I was back in my apartment. The remnants of my old life, a nearly empty bottle of whiskey, scattered pills, reminded me of the darkness I had nearly embraced. Trembling, I stood up. determined to rebuild what I had almost lost forever. I reached out for help and soon found a detox center where I began the long, arduous process of recovery. The road was not easy. There were moments of doubt, and the shadows of my past occasionally crept back into my thoughts. Yet, with every passing day, I rediscovered the strength and resilience that had been buried beneath layers of pain. I reconnected with Michael, striving to regain his trust and love, even as I continued to mend my own shattered soul. It was a journey of forgiveness, not just from God, but also forgiveness for myself. Slowly but surely, I began to rebuild my life on a foundation of faith, hope, and love. I immersed myself in prayer and scripture, seeking guidance from the one who had given me a second chance. My days were filled with moments of quiet reflection, where I would pause and feel the gentle reminder that I was never truly alone. Even during my darkest hours, the memory of that radiant light and the compassionate gaze of Jesus kept me moving forward. Today, I stand as a testament to God's boundless mercy and grace. A man who once teetered on the brink of self-destruction, now transformed by the power of forgiveness and love. My story is not one of perfection, but one of redemption. I have learned that no matter how far one may stray, the path back to God is always open.